Okay. Welcome back to the Ink Yapper podcast, a podcast by Team Arcana. I am your host, Vo. With me, as always, I have Nate and Christian. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Finally getting a yap again after centuries. We've been asleep like gargoyles, which we'll get in the next set. See, I did a little tie in there, guys. Look at me go. But no, good to be back yapping about Lorcana.
How about you, Christian?
No, I'm stoked. I'm stoked to be here. We did have a bit of a hiatus. We were at DLC. Me and Vo were at DLC Bologna, making it a little difficult to record podcasts efficiently. And then we took another about a week off because we were very exhausted from coming back from DLC Bologna. So you can thank Italy for a bit of a hiatus from the Ink Cappers podcast. But we can talk more about that here briefly about our trip to Bologna. We got a lot to talk about today. We have Bologna. We have set champs, the Maldragon set champs, to win these beautiful Maldragon cards. And we're in the middle of spoiler season. So we got a lot to talk about today, don't we, gentlemen?
Yes, sir. So jumping off of what you were saying, Bologna. Tell us about. You and me both went, Christian. But I'm going to have you start us off about Bologna. What are some highlights? How'd you feel about it? First DLC of the season, huh?
Let's see. Well, first off, most of my highlights were actually not within the DLC whatsoever. Most of it was actually outside of the DLC, just enjoying Italy. My first time going to Europe, it was a really, really great time. Bologna is known as the food capital of Italy, and it felt like that. We went and got a lot of really great food. My favorite thing that we had there was this delectable mortadella sandwich, and something that I really wanted to eat when I got back home, but I could not get that again, obviously. But within the DLC, it was a good time. It was an interesting kind of comeback from playing in 3 North American DLCs, having that huge year-long break from it all, and then kind of jumping back into it. And it was nice to kind of get back into the ring a little bit here. Thoughts on the new format of the 8 rounds one day, 4 day, rest of the Swiss on the next day. I think it's good. I think it's it's a format that I think is more akin that a lot of other bigger TCGs do at these really big 2,000 plus person tournaments. I think the prizing structure could be adjusted a little bit. They were doing a lot of stuff on the fly, as you can tell, being and it was the first DLC of season 2, and we kind of signed up knowing that we're basically signing up for a trial run tournament, glorified to a certain extent, where it kind of last minute they decided certain people are going to get, if you make day 2, you also get X amount of tickets, and if you miss top cuts, now you get 2,000 tickets or whatever, you know what I mean? If you don't make top 32 but finish 9x3 or whatever after day 2, things of that nature. It was good. I ended up taking Amethyst Steel. It's the deck I played the most probably this set and enjoy quite a bit. I start off really strong, X1, going into round 7 and 8. Just needed one more win to get my day 2 pass, but sadly couldn't get there. Lost in the mirror, and then lost on the draw to Amber Steel, which sometimes you just don't have it against that deck on the draw. I kept the Captain Hook in my opener in game 3, mold 6, looking for Calhoun and a 3-drop, because I had nothing but 4s pretty much in my hand. And then I got back only 4s again, so I was playing 4 Arcana on the draw against Amber Steel, and I was dead, unfortunately, but it was a good time. I was happy to be there, and it was all my opponents were lovely. It was a good tournament to be had. What about you, Bo?
Yeah, I wish I did as well as you. I started off the tournament just horrible, so I ended up just winning my Mulan. I lost in the first round to my bad matchup, which was only 2% of the field, but it happens. There's so much luck and variance involved with it. I will be talking more about Bologna on my vlog that I'm currently still editing. It's going to come up on this channel as well, all about Bologna. I know it's kind of late, but we were just so busy. We came back and it was set camp season and everything, but we'll talk more about my Bologna stuff on that vlog. But I did not perform that well day 1. Day 2 in the Infinity tournament, I did much better. And yeah, I echo your sentiment about feeling like a guinea pig for the very first DLC, but I don't know. It was still a lot of fun. The community is always fun to just hang out with and talk to everybody. So I would not have done it any differently. I would have gone to Italy to experience it, even knowing now what I kind of know about what would have happened. I still would have gone. It was still a lot of fun to just see everybody. Oh, and I played blue green. That's the deck that I chose, just in case anybody was wondering. But which I'll also talk on the vlog. But that's my experience with Bologna. With that, let's talk about set champs. So Nate, me and Christian were gone the very first weekend in Bologna. So you were the only one that could play that first weekend. How was your experience?
So I played 2 set champs the first weekend, and I was just like, I'm gonna farm all these people because no Christian can go. It'll be great. Not exactly how that happened. Turns out we still have a lot of good players in Minnesota, I guess, or whatever. So set champs won on that first Saturday. I decided to play Blurple because it's the deck I've practiced the most with. It's kind of what's considered the best deck, and and I actually kind of enjoy the mirrors, so I wasn't gonna mind playing those if a lot of people were on that. Turns out that was a pretty solid choice for the day. The only bad matchup I had, I actually played against Hannah round 1, because it was hilarious because I was about to pair into our teammate Wade, who I knew was on purple steel, which is a favorable matchup for Purple, so I was feeling pretty good about that. And then round 1 we have a repair, and I end up getting paired against Hannah, and I lose the die roll, and I'm like, oh no. But I ended up somehow eking out a win against her. I top decked a Monstro, which I actually got as a recommendation from both Christian and Hannah to put in more of my Purple deck. So I was playing 3 Monstro that day, and I ended up just top decking the crap out of her. It felt good, and then I ended up taking 4th as a whole in that set champs. I had a really good Swiss where I went 3-0 draw in because it wasn't seeding or anything like that. So I'm take my top 8, have a great day. And then I got top 4, and then I ended up getting taken out by our friend Wade, who is on purple steel. Actually, it's that thing where it's like Christian was kind of talking about this Bologna run, where it's it can be a favorable matchup, but sometimes you're the 20 and the 80-20, sometimes you have. I had a play set of Hades in one of our games in my hand, just sitting there laughing at me at 6 ink. So Disney Lorcana
has got 9 characters on the field, and you can Hades one of them. Feels really good, right?
Exactly. But no, so that was a good one. And then that Sunday, I decided that I was just a little bit interested in playing some Spice that I wanted to try out. So I actually took blue steel to a separate set champs, which unfortunately I basically missed by 1 win to get into top 8. I was pretty sad. I ended up losing to Blurple, which was kind of the bad matchup, and then a very interesting red-blue deck where if you're trying to play Chonkers and blue steel and they can play more Chonkers, you just lose. It turns out they're doing your strategy but better. So
that's true.
That was pretty cool. But overall, the first weekend of set champs, I can't complain with one top 4. It was a good weekend for that. And then we ran it back this next weekend. But I'll let somebody else go ahead and start with the next weekend of set champs. I know everybody played this last week.
And yeah, so second week of set champs, me and Christian finally got to attend some. I'll talk about my first Saturday. So I went up to St. Cloud to attend one that I always attend up there. There's a good group of guys up there, and I brought green blue again, but I did make some changes to the deck. I unfortunately lost in the finals, so that didn't feel the greatest, especially with no second place mat now. That still doesn't feel good to lose in the finals. And then the day after that, we had a kind of cool double feature. And in the morning, I played down at VB, again, another awesome group of players down there. That's where I ended up taking the win and winning my championship mat versus with Ernie, another one of our teammates that you guys will see eventually sometime on the channel. and then we made our way over to Sliver King. They did a cool 6 p.m. one, so we appreciate them. They took our feedback or Lance's feedback. It was Lance. He told them, like, if you guys do a later one, you're not going to be competing with anybody. You're going to get a ton of people, and they did get a ton of people. They probably were like one of the busiest ones there, and I ended up bubbling out at 9th there. Felt kind of bad, but on the good side, my participation pack, I drew a enchanted bell, accomplished mystic. So I basically won.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay, everybody.
He'll be okay.
How about you, Christian?
Digital hugs.
That's right. Yeah, I also had I went to the double feature on Sunday. First Saturday, me and Hannah went to the Source in Roseville, and played up there on Saturday, where it was a nice 15-16 person set champ. 4 rounds, cut the top 4. Me and Hannah were able to secure the first and second seed spots in Swiss, which was nice. Or no, I'm sorry. Hannah got first. I ended up with 3rd seed. Scott Markinson jumped me to 2nd.
I've heard
it was very relevant because it was very relevant where it was based off seeding who got to go first. I was playing Amethyst Steel and he was playing Blurple, so I had to play Blurple on the draw twice, and it was tough days. I think if I was on the play, it would have looked a little nicer for me, as it does for every deck in Lorcana. But my wife avenged me, as she always does, carrying our family name on her shoulders. She was able to take down Scott Markinson in a Blurple mirror at the Source to secure a match for us, which was super awesome. And then Sunday, we went to Two Bros in Stillwater, where, oh man, this one ended up being busier than I thought it was going to be. It ended up being 5 rounds. I was able to get first seed there as well, but I lost in top 8 right away, sadly. I played against the Blurple mirror, and that mirror doesn't matter as much who goes first and second. Like, it does, but like the top of the deck tends to matter a whole lot more in that mirror than anything. There was one game where I got to 2nd star. The other ones I couldn't. I drew a lot of 1-drops and T-pos and just kind of ended the game on the spot. There's kind of just nothing you can do when you just kind of, your deck fails you like that. And then Hannah also lost in top 8, but she was playing dogs at event. So Hannah played Blurple on Saturday, dogs on Sunday. And then when we went to the double one at Sliver King, I stuck with Blurple, and then she ran Amber Steel aggro, which was a really good choice in that room. There was so much Blurple at Sliver King. It was kind of ridiculous how much of that one deck was in the room. And Hannah was the only Amber Steel in the room, and she was feasting on Blurple. I missed my top 8 spot winning in to Lance, who got me really good with Amethyst Steel. Same thing, on the draw, he curved out really nicely. My deck drew nothing, nothing but air pretty much, which is like so odd because like the Blurple deck has so much air in it because they have like Hypnotic Strength and like 8 ramp cards and like 6 to 8 1-drops. And if you just draw too many of those, you're kind of just dead in the water, unfortunately, which does happen. Hannah secured a top 4 spot there, losing the Blurple with Amber Steel, which she has an oddly bad track record into as Amber Steel, playing Blurple for whatever reason. But I think the deck we brought was kind of tech for the Steel mirror a bit more, which made the Blurple matchup a lot worse, unfortunately. But nonetheless, it was a great weekend. Hannah got 3 cards in the mat. I got 2 cards. We got 5 cards between us between a whole weekend. 3 set champs. Can't complain.
Shiny.
Super happy. Super happy about it. A lot of shiny dragons. The card looks beautiful. If we haven't really mentioned it yet, this is the best looking set champs card they've ever printed. It looks so incredible. Again, my lighting all messed up here, but yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of them. They're really, I think, stepping up the game with set champs and not making like doo bad ones like Scar and Mirabelle's. It's a good thing for the game.
Rest in peace, Mirabelle.
Never played yet, never will.
I also played this last weekend here, and actually I was kind of joking because I was a little bit under the gun a little bit because I only got to play 1 set champs, which is abnormal for me because I usually play both. but I needed to be a good husband and do something other than Lorcana stuff on Sunday with my wife to, you know, spend some quality time together. Because it turns out if you're gonna spend 5 to 9 rounds playing in a set champs, you don't actually get to spend that much time together. I guess, whatever. But anyways, so I played our local store, Dork Den, here in Mankato, and we actually had 17 people, so we ended up having a 5-rounder, which was good for me especially because I decided to play Blurple, and in Mankato we are actually quite known for aggro a lot around here. There's a lot of aggressive decks around here, but my theory was a lot of the better players are going to be playing Purple Steel, which I was kind of right. A lot of the top 8 was Purple Steel. So I was like, if I can somehow weather the storm of these aggro ones, I can farm all these Purple Steels, especially in the top 8. So I build my deck not really teched for the mirror of Blurple. I'm playing like Elsa Gloves Off, 8 1-drops, and only 1 second star just because I think it's good against Purple Steel sometimes. And my first matchup, little did I know, there are 3 of us Blurple players at our 17-player set champs, and I get paired round 1 into 1. And we actually go into an unintentional draw that I was definitely going to lose if we had went to actual like full game actually, but we went to an unintentional draw. So I'm like, all right, I guess I just got to try to get over that. I go into round 2. I lose to a Purple Steel player in 3 games because I missed ramp in game 3, and I'm like, oh no. Like, so now I am 0-1-1, and I am like really under the gun, and I'm like, oh man, well, if I lose here, I get to go do stuff with my wife afterwards. You know, that's the big plus side, and then maybe I can go to one on Sunday. But by next round, I'm like, okay, we'll see whatever happens. I get paired into an Amber Steel player, and I somehow beat them, and I'm like, okay, maybe now we can ease up a little bit on Nathaniel. We're 1-1-1. I go in and I play against a Dogs player, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me right now. So like, I am like, after I'm 0-1-1, I am like salty, like the internal process of like, oh, you play this game for hours every day, and this is how it goes sometimes. This is just how it goes. Like, and then somehow this round 3, I end up pulling off against the Dogs player, and I'm like, okay, we've got to be a little bit clear. And I finally get like a Purple Steel player, unfortunately one of our teammates, and I got the nuts against him for 2 games, and I 2-0'd him. So that felt really good to get there. And then once I get into the actual top 8, because now I've finally gotten in, I got a Purple Steel, or I got 2 Purple Steel matchups to get into the finals. And then I ended up playing the mirror in Blurple against our teammate Wade again. And I actually beat him because in game 3, he ramped and did nothing on turn 3. And I was like, oh no. He ran out of 4-drops, I guess, or something like that. And that's how I actually was able to secure my mat. And it was a fun time. It was a fun time. But it was a kind of a cool story for actually winning a set champs, where you think like you're just gonna be salty the whole time until you finally just like, all right, I'm in. But yeah, it was a good time.
Nice, congrats.
Yeah.
Like that's the mirror is always especially a blurb, like any blue mirrors, those always take so much brain power to navigate and go through. So
it was
stuff,
really
Nate.
it was really fun too, because there was in game 1 that I was able to beat him. He had to hard cast a second star, and I sang one and then played a Finders Keepers afterwards. And I'm like, I'm just gonna draw more cards than you to win. And then as gentlemen do, I basically had him dead on board, so he second stars me, and then on my turn I second star him just to be like do the gentleman's maneuver of like. So it was a really good time. It was a really good time. But I actually
I'll just second star myself after he second starred me. Been the least gentlemanly about it.
The least gentlemanly. Oh man, but yeah, it was a great time.
All right, and then on the itinerary today, we will be talking some of the new card reveals. But before then, I want to ask you guys about before we go to set 10, I want to talk more about set 9. How are we feeling about the current meta with everything? What are you thinking, Christian?
So I've enjoyed set 9. I really have. I think it was like coming from the heels of set 8. I think I really enjoyed having this like lull in power level where so many of the cards, you know, everything was slower. The cards, I had to like consider deck building with like some of these like more innocuous cards that I never had to consider before, which is really fun and really great. I played a lot of set 9. Preparing for a ton of different tournaments. I prepared for CCS at Georgia. I attempted to prepare for PPG Denver, but that one fell flat, unfortunately. Bologna set champs, and like I'm still preparing coming up to Milwaukee, and I've kind of like this is some of the most I've played in a set in a while, prepping for big tournaments. I'm kind of ready to be done with it. The format's been good. I've enjoyed it. It feels almost like a set format of game where like before like there was like a very clear defined list of decks that like were like kind of expected to play at tournaments and kind of playing to the meta game and this kind of rock paper scissors format that everyone keeps talking about and whatnot. But I think I'm really struggling with the lack of comeback mechanics for the game currently in set 9 that they just don't exist anymore. Like before, like we kind of complained about some of the power level of some of the cards from set 1 through 8, but because of that, you allowed games had comeback potential to them, where like the difference between the highest level card in like the highest power level format card in a format that existed to the next lowest in like a potion deck is just so great, the difference between the two, that when someone finds their best card and you kind of don't, no matter whether you're on the play or draw, you just kind of like lose no matter what. I feel like the play draw disparity has never felt higher in this game till this set because of the lack of the comeback mechanics. And as a whole, I have enjoyed it. I don't want to make it all negative, but as a whole, I think I'm ready to see a jump in power level. I think I'm ready to see more comeback mechanics come back to the game. That's like my biggest hope. I want to find more ways to potentially, eke out a win on the draw when my Blood Bowl player goes Ramp, Genie, Elsa, Belle, Hades, second star, or my Purple Steel opponent goes Palace Guard, Calhoun, Dragon Genie, Sing Strength, Doc, Calhoun. Like there's just a lot of these games that you just kind of like can't come back from just because of the power level of the cards that exist. But that's my opinion currently.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like I've also played a ton, and I think I said on an earlier podcast that I was excited for set 9 because I felt like with the downgrade in power level, it's going to allow players to express their skill in TCGs a little bit more, and for the most part, that's been a very true statement. I still stand behind that, but as we played along this season, this shorter season, it is a shorter season in set 9, but as the meta has been getting solved, I kind of feel like you kind of see where things are lacking. Like you're saying, there's no comeback mechanics, so everybody kind of knows the play lines and kind of know what's to expect. And it's exactly like you said, whoever draws their best cards, mid game, is probably going to take it, play, and which, I mean, there could be an argument to say that that's kind of a comeback mechanic, but it not really isn't. You're kind of just hoping to the variance gods that like they favor you that day, and you hope that you draw your good cards, or they draw their good cards. And yeah, it as the format is now basically considered solved, it is getting a little dull, and you kind of just take what comes. So I'm very much excited for the next set, but I don't know. I want to hear about you, Nate. So you didn't go to Bologna with us. How do you feel about this set?
I didn't go to Bologna. I've been doing a crazy amount of testing of this format. I've obviously playing set champs and getting ready for Milwaukee. I'm very much so like in a weird position where I actually do really enjoy the games in this format. The funniest thing though, I think, is the best games are really when the best decks don't work. Like, and I mean that like even like if you have a Blurple mirror match, the greatest thing is if like both players miss ramp or something, and you're like, and you gotta like play like this weird like game of Lorcana overall. There are a lot of times though, like where those matchups do tend to feel like you're just kind of on the rails, where it's like I that's like the deck, that's kind of the boogeyman of the format, right? So everybody just goes like turn one drop guy, turn 2 ramp, turn 3 genie, turn 4 Elsa, all that stuff. Like sometimes you're on the rails and there's not much you can do. I think there are a few decks that actually have those types of things. But like I think there's a lot of this format emphasizes gameplay more than it emphasizes deck building. Like I think you can only change so many things with the decks, in my opinion. Like you can just decide if you want your Blurple deck to be a little bit more greedy, if you want to change a couple cards from Purple Steel or your Amber Steel deck. But a lot of it comes down to like I actually think that what you said still reigns true a little bit. Where if you don't play your games well, you get punished more than ever, in my opinion. Like things like we have things like Bell and stuff like that can turn like a small lead into a huge lead. Like these cards are very, very relevant right now, and I think it is a little skill intensive. Sometimes you do just get luck sacked out, but that's just card games, right? Like I always say, like if we wanted like no luck involved, we'd play chess. We'd be playing chess right now. But I definitely think that so there are some matchups that feel impossible to win for some decks, and I think there's a little bit of matchup variance. But like I do really like the games we're getting in this format. This is probably the most that I've tested and played a format, and like really got to like dig my heels in and be like, all right, these are the patterns we're trying to see and like deal with and play around with. So like I've actually, I think it might be almost like an unpopular opinion, but I've kind of enjoyed this format a little bit actually.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed everything too. I'm just ready for the new stuff. I guess you could say I kind of hear it in what Christian's saying too. So I think we're probably both just a little bit burned out by how much we've done in this set, which I mean we have done a ton, but I do still enjoy the game too. So yeah, what were you saying, Christian?
I think a cool point you brought up was that like there's like a lot of gameplay like emphasizes gameplay more than deck building, and that is like I actually think it's like a positive of this format, where it like on the draw play patterns you have to consider like different things, right? So like for example like the Amethyst Steel mirror, something if you're playing that mirror, like that mirror is also like kind of dreadful because like it is truly just a deck of statues staring at each other until someone says oops most of the time. But like one of the things in that matchup is that it gets like really like pertinent is like strength of Raging Fire, right? Like for the most part whoever's on the play gets to sing strength first, and that can be like a huge blowout, and a lot of people were running Pete's for a while to like try to mitigate that, but Pete as a whole it's just like not a very good card. You're just like stopping so little. It's not like you're playing against like a shark deck that tries to like visions into like a B prep or like all this stuff. Like you're only stopping one card. Yeah, it's like it's miserable. And the card like Pete on his own is not even that good of a card. You might as well just play White Rose. You know what I mean? Versus where you can change the gameplay like mechanics of that. Where if you go like 1 drop, 2 drop, and then on turn 3, like making your inking decisions. And like being intentional in your mulligan inking decisions on the draw to say, okay, instead of doing a 3 drop that's just going to get strength, I'm going to go 1 drop, 2 drop again. And now they can like play a genie and like sat and strength you, but you're not completely like you're not like half their board size anymore, and they still have to like consider different things to like kind of get back to you, because that's like the big thing is board presence, right? Like, and that's where like that kind of line of play is really, really good on the draw. But yeah, I agree. I think when both players miss ramp, it is kind of like a more interesting game for the most part. Like you said, like when the decks fail, their lines.
And
I agree with you.
There's a lot of like things like that. I think like if you ever see like Amber Steel decks too, when they don't have like the perfect like 1-2 drop, like that's where like you can see like I think when your deck doesn't work well, that's where you see people who are just playing the deck and people who are playing their deck really, really well. I think like sometimes like those people tend to work around those situations a little bit better. Sometimes you just get boomed, right? I mean, we've all been there too, where you're just like, well, I missed my ramp. Now my deck doesn't work and my opponent is just doing everything. So I guess I'm dead. But like there are times where you can like outskill those, and that's pretty cool.
I've lost a lot of games to the blue decks that are on the play and they missed ramp, but it never mattered because they were on the play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've lost a lot of games that way. You know, to where like, you're just, or even just any deck. I've had so many people at set champ say, you just got me. And they start off and they like, you know, play like Amethyst Steel and they like ink pass, they miss their 1 drop, but like, like because they get to go first, they still get to strength you first, and then they like play a dog. It's just like, it kind of didn't matter if you started off bad, because how you had the greatest start in Lorcana, which is going first. You know what I mean? Like that's
you got the best part. The best part.
It's the best part. Yeah. So I think that I like a lot of your opinions though about the format. That is what the parts that I have really enjoyed. You've emphasized really well about like, oh yeah, like we've had some like cool games, and like the games that feel good feel really good in this format. Because it does have a lot of this back and forth nature because of the lower quality of card.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm ready for the next set.
That's
I'm ready
it.
for it.
Bring back Be Prepared. I'm done with this. Like, no more
Yeah,
boards.
bring back more board wipes.
Sick of boards.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
Speaking of the new
wipes.
stuff, we got some card reveals.
Yeah, buddy.
It is the card reveal season. There's been a lot of cool stuff that we've been revealed, but we're just gonna go through a few of them today. Let's kind of go. I just kind of got like a slight mental like of when everything was released, but for sure I know this was one of the first ones that was revealed. We got Hades looking for a deal, which says, what do you say? When you play this character, you may choose an opposing character. If you do, draw 2 cards, unless that character's player puts that card on the bottom of their deck. It is in Amethyst. 3/4, quest for 1. I think this card's kind of insane. What do you guys think?
I want to start off by saying this is one of our 2 iconics for the set. It's a legendary at its original value or rarity, and this card is gorgeous. But this card is probably not very good. That's my hot take already. So immediately our podcast is canceled and everybody's gonna be angry at us. But I think that coming from a Magic background, you always like say cards that give your opponents choices are really bad. And I think that reigns true with this card because you're never going to get the effect that you want out of this card. You're never going to draw 2 cards when you need the 2 cards, and you're never going to bottom the character when you need to bottom the character. The only time this card really works well, you could argue when you're at parity with your opponent, and obviously when you're ahead of your opponent. When you're ahead of your opponent, this card is amazing, but there are a lot of cards that are good when you're ahead of your opponent. The other big thing that I noticed after reading this card is it is terrible in top deck situations. So you get a 3/4 that quest for 1 if they're literally playing into an empty board, because you can't like target your own guy or anything like that. If they don't have a character, they're just like whatever. Sometimes it's really good if they only have 1 character and you're like, I need this. But like again, I think it's only okay in the parity situations, and it's really bad when you're behind. This card, I don't think it's good. Like, you have to value a 3/4 body so much for me to be like into this card, and I don't see it making the cut in most of my Amethyst decks, but I am happy to be proven wrong for sure.
Your thoughts, Christian?
Wait 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
Bo, tell me what draws you to this card. What do you think about this card?
So my thoughts on the card is it's inkable. No, I mean I definitely see your points on this card, but I mean while you're correct and you're giving the opponent the choice, they have 2 choices that really only benefit you. Is how I look at it. And worst comes to worst, you can ink it. And I agree. There's gonna be it's kind of a bad top deck if you're both in a top deck war. But I don't know. I feel like if you let the game get to the point where you're in a top deck war, especially in the Amethyst colors, you're already kind of playing on the back foot, and that's just my thoughts on it. But I just like all the different options that this card gives you.
My first instinct too is it needs like an extra lore or something. Like the stats are just a little too like wimpy. He's just a little bit of a wimp for me. Christian, what do you think of this card? Am I factor capping right now?
I don't know. I'm like kind of 50-50 on it. Like, I can understand where like parts of this card would be really good. I think that like the choice thing is like a really difficult pill to swallow. I think both effects are pretty good though, for what it's worth. Like, like on curve playing a 5-drop that's at worst, right, draws you 2 cards is pretty good. Like there's like some weird, like it's ironically kind of good in these like mid-range mirrors, like what you were saying, where like sometimes like when you play Blurple, you're like you have like this bell sitting in your hand and you would love to do something with it, but they have no damage, they're not exerting anything. So like if you play this Hades, then like at worst you're at least gonna draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
I think
but
sorry.
I don't know. No, you're good.
Oh, I was also gonna say, like, I think this card. I lost my train of thought. Keep going with your thing. I totally just wanted to interrupt you. I wanted to just be like, "You're wrong, Chris."
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. I think it's gonna be hard to find room for this card, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was like high on it when I first saw it, and like, yeah, that like I just don't know. Like, I don't think this card's better than Bell. Like Bell's stats are just like phenomenal, and like the tempo, like in terms of like these mid-range games, like the tempo of Bell is like really really powerful, and you always have to play around it, right? But I think this card is like probably still worth exploring. Like if I open it, I'm probably not gonna be like upset, to at least like try to like see how this card performs. But I think it's got stiff competition as an Amethyst 5-drop inkable. You know what I mean? So
that was the point I was gonna get to. You actually reminded me of it because you made the point that I meant to, which is do you ever play some amount of this card over Bell? Or I mean, we're not even talking about Elsa, I think, right? Elsa's just way too good of a card.
Yeah, you can't drop like, Elsa.
Wait, does this card have a life after the next rotation? That could be.
What do you mean?
Or does it? I forgot how rotation works.
Like when Elsa gets rotated out.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
It definitely could.
Then Whispers would be in the next rotation, right?
Yep. Yeah. Everything would start with Fabled onward. It definitely could. Okay. It feels so far away to think that way.
Maybe that's like a world if we don't get like. I mean, you gotta think about like that. Maybe one day is like, all right, we don't have Elsa anymore. It's like Hades or in Bell, right? Something like that. But like, I agree.
I kind of wish.
The biggest thing in most of your decks, the 5-drop spot is a premium right now.
I kind of wish that it had the ability for it to choose any character, and then the owner of that play, like the player owner, got to choose that, so that I could still like, you're welcome, my guy, if I wanted to.
Well, you just draw 2 cards. It'd just be like,
you're right.
You could choose like your own.
So then I'd still just like always draw the 2 cards I wanted to, right?
That'd be disgusting.
That'd be kind of sweet.
That'd be dope.
That would be like, all right, I'm not going to see this Tipo again. I'm not going to top deck this Tipo, and then I'm going to draw 2 cards for the life of this little boy. I mean,
yeah,
but yeah, he's a cool card. But I heard some people like really high on him, and I think that he's a little bit. He's outclassed by Bell and Elsa, in my opinion, a little bit.
If he was a 4/4, I'd feel like maybe a little higher. 3/4 does and lend itself to some awkward trades.
If you want that 9th, 5th drop, maybe he's that 9th, 5 drop.
I mean, there's a lot of, maybe.
I don't know. I like all the options that we have with them, and it's like, I was specifically speaking like in Blurple, there's been a lot of like Iago hate and stuff like that. So you could free up some of those slots and play him, and then you guys always forget he can be one of the guys that helps you sing second star or helps you find your second star.
I mean, that's a big deal. It's a big deal.
See, I'm really hopeful that there's good enough cards that we don't want to play second star anymore. I absolutely hate like having to run that card. I think it's miserable.
I'm excited. I will end up being like a Blurple second star hipster. Like I love, like every time I've resolved that card, I've never been sad. I love drawing 5 cards more than like certain relatives. I'm sorry, family members. If they're listening to the podcast.
Have you seen that picture that Ernie keeps posting around of me at that Sliver King event where I look really tired?
I don't think I've seen that one. You'll have to send that my way.
Yeah. I will have to, because he literally captured a moment where in my last game where I second started and drew nothing but garbage. Actually, like the 5 worst cards I could have drawn.
Oh no!
I'm like, I'm dead. Yeah. So I've had moments where I second started and I was very upset.
My second stars are always a second star. Like my second, like they're always incredible.
We're not blessed like you. What's the next card, Bo? I want to see the next card.
All right, let's look at the next card. I believe this card was next to be revealed. I could be wrong, but I still liked this card, so we're gonna go with it anyways. Demona, Scourge of the Wyvern Clan. Add Saxum Camutate. That's the best Latin you're gonna hear. When you play this character, exert all opposing characters. Then, each character with fewer than 3 cards in their hand draws until they have 3. Stone by Day, second ability. If you have 3 or more cards in your hand, this character cannot ready. It's a 5/6, quest for 2, 6-drop, inkable.
Inkable.
Thoughts?
There it is. The keyword is inkable.
From the same people who brought you Maui Shark, we give you Demona.
They brought Demona. They loved it.
Maui Shark might still have more
I'm pretty sure there's like
text.
someone. I'm pretty sure there's someone on the Ravensburger team where his job title is 6-drop inkable banger creator, and I think that's all he does. He just decides what 6-drop inkable good cards are going to be in Disney Lorcana. That's his whole job. But he's done a really good job at it. This card is really, really good to me. I think this card is a top 5 card of the set. We've only seen like 30 cards.
You guys don't always get to see when your friends see their first impression of a card for the first time. But our teammate Zach, we were at the set champs when this card was spoiled, and he was so upset because he's just like, oh, Amethyst needs more tools. Amethyst needs more tools. Like, great, I'm so glad that the Amethyst rulers forever. Just like he just like anybody who's met Zach knows that he's a very expressive human being, and he was losing his mind over this Disney Lorcana card. It is this one is definitely polarizing. My first read of this card, I actually went, it's overrated, because Nathaniel's first instinct is to be a hipster and be like, this card sucks. But like every time I reread it, I'm like, they put so many words on this card. They like exert the whole board. You know, you probably get a bunch of good challenges. If your opponent has 3 cards, they get literally no benefit out of it ever. They just have their life ruined. She steals your credit card information like immediately.
Yep.
Steal Christian's joke here.
Immediately.
Like just like immediately takes your credit card information down. But like, and you get to draw 3 cards if you had less, which you're going to have less because you're playing 6 drops. Like, oh my goodness, this card, it does a lot of work. And like, the downside is like, okay, I don't get to ready my card that I've already used. Like, okay, sure. If I have 3 cards.
Yeah.
This card
Not only did you get the on-play effect already, but if it's exerted, that means like you already either attacked or gained 2 lore. So it's like,
right,
you know,
right.
It's a really interesting thing. I think like the best example to like equate this card is to Doc, right? Like this is just a 6-drop 5/6 deck quest for 2 Doc that is inkable and exerts all of your opponent's stuff. So like Doc is a card that you can like make your plays around playing him. You know what I mean? To where he's the last card in your hand. You can absolutely do this with Demona as well, and then just have like some insane board trading. It is like. I think this is such a powerful card. I think it's a really cool card as well. Because it's like it's a card that it's like a weird card, right? Like Blurple is our first instinct when we look at this card to like, you know, decks that would love to play this. Blurple's a great one because Blurple doesn't really have like very powerful 6-drops in the deck. They tend to just go like 5 into like another 5. Seeing second star play Hades. But like on curve, this is a pretty decent card to play on curve into Blurple on 6. Especially like on the play where like you just like slam all your guys' stuff, or even like maybe even on the draw, because by that point they shouldn't be able to sing second star quite yet, so you might be able to like prevent a second star play, you know, but they're gonna have less cards in their hand than you because they're on the play. So it's like it's kind of this weird back and forth nature of the card that I think is gonna be pretty cool when you play Blurple Mirrors. But it doesn't solve like the issue of Blurple of its bad matchups against aggro, because this card's like not very good to aggro, right? Like, because most times they're not gonna have any cards in hand, and you're just gonna fuel them up. Even though like if you need to play this card to not die, then you know it's fine. But like on curve, I think you're kind of asking to die, unfortunately, a lot of times. But that's fine though because it's inkable, right? So it's they printed the main card on there. It's inkable, so
this card has a lot of game.
I actually think Yeah, there is. I think every purple deck can really play this, even if they don't ramp to it, right? Like, I actually think Purple Steel would love this card, right? Like, more docks in their deck. Like, you got to get to 6, but like, I don't know, you're playing 5s already, and like I tend to get to like 6 to 7 anyway because I'm constantly like inking to establish dock plays, and like now I got these inkable ones that let me trade all my Calhouns into something finally. You know what I mean?
One day I'll
Or
let
even
Bo talk. One day I'll let Bo talk, but I'm gonna go first again. You mentioned Amethyst decks, and there is one more Amethyst deck we didn't talk about, and that's Ruby Amethyst, where this card is genuinely a star in that kind of deck. I think some of the other spoilers they gave her that we're not going to talk about on today's episode, they've had some like solid Ruby Gargoyles cards, but this one very specifically does something that you really need in that deck, which is exert the whole board of your opponent. Because the biggest thing that I've tried my best to do so much CPR on Ruby Amethyst and be like, no, it's good, guys. It's good. Just don't worry about the purple decks. It's fine. Like, boards exist. It's okay. We can do something. Like, so like if you just are able to exert their board, you're able to get things in. Like I don't think you probably have Maui Shark and this on the same board, but if you do, you're living the dream, and I appreciate you. But like your Mulan, those Mother Gothel triggers that like 3-cost Mother Gothel like gets a lot of value out of something like this. Random 4-drops and all of your little things that you can finally hit in with. This card does really good jobs at letting you win back boards with that sort of thing. And the drawing cards is very relevant because oftentimes in that style of deck, you're going to like sort of war of attrition and you're going to refuel 3. Like we were already playing like things like Finders Keepers sometimes. Like this card is very good at that. So I think this card is very interesting. The last bit before I finally let Bo speak one day is this card has interesting play against itself, and then also kind of makes this card interesting too. Just like the ability to exert it kind of makes like the board state weird if they do have 3 cards in hand. And I really like where there's weird gameplay lines like that on cards where it's like, oh, okay, like I have to exert your Demona in order for you to not kill my thing or something like that. I think that type of thing is really cool. Vo, what do you think of this card?
You know, I was just letting you guys go off, but I'm kind of just gonna piggyback off of you a little bit. Ruby Amethyst. A lot of the other Gargoyle cards that all share the same second ability, Stone by Day, where you know they can't. That's technically supposed to be like a balancing trait because like you were saying, we're not going to be looking at those cards here. But from what I remember, because they have the Stone by Day, those cards are like very highly statted. Like I think I remember seeing like. Yeah, they're huge stat sticks because they're supposed to have that crutch of the Stone by Day where, you know, you don't want to have more than 3 cards in your hand or they can't ready. But I don't think that's going to be an issue with this card like Demona. You know, you're going to be kind of playing on the edge a little bit, but some like especially in this meta right now, sometimes 3 cards is all that you have or even less. So I think about this card, inserting this card into the meta right now, this card would definitely see a lot of play, especially like Christian was saying in Amethyst Steel, where you're already mid game, where you're going to be getting to 6. You're already going to be running very low on cards. And yeah, this card's going to be nutty, and everybody should definitely be looking out for this card in any Amethyst decks.
Absolutely. They got to be ready for it.
I don't know the order of the next release, but I'm gonna leave the kind of banger one for last. Let's look into the new keyword. Yeah, keyword that's coming with Whispers in the Well, and that is boost. There were so many boost cards that we could have chosen, but we chose Scrooge McDuck because it's kind of showing how amber is kind of the color that's getting a lot of the synergies with the boost cards, and this card specifically is gonna really synergize with those boost cards. And let's talk about what boost does. So Christian, why don't you tell us what you know about the boost?
Yeah, so boost in Disney Lorcana is this new keyword where it's tied to a new card type, right? So like we've had like these Storyborn, Dreamborn, Floodborn character archetypes basically since the game came out, but we finally have a fourth one. They're called Whispers. And all the Whisper characters have this boost mechanic where basically it's basically like Kicker from Magic the Gathering, where you pay an extra ink cost to take the top card of your deck and put it underneath your character to boost it. And then once they're boosted or have a card underneath them, then they get like an extra added effect to it, right? So like there's a bunch of them that have been released so far. Like there was a Robin Hood where if it's boosted, every time you quest, you get to ping 2 guys for 1. Or there was a Zeus, a 3-cost Zeus card that's a 2/3. But if you pay 2 to boost it, it becomes, I believe, a 4/5 that quests for 2. So it basically jumps to the cost of a 5 drop. And I the mechanic is pretty cool. I like the idea of it because it's like a way to like kind of have. I almost described it as like a payment plan, like card archetype where like you pay for the rest of it later.
Layaway.
And you pay. Pay your way for your Disney Lorcana cards. And I think the mechanic itself is interesting. I think it's going to be hard to find cards that are going to be really good in that though, because I kind of described it as like how Vanish our cards kind of need to be overstated because there's this extra cost associated with like if you get targeted by a 1-drop green draw card, you're just you lose your Iago and that feels miserable, right? It's kind of the same problem where like if I have to pay. If I play this 2-drop character and then to get its extra effect, I have to pay another 2. I'm paying for 4, right? Like that's like the difficult part of it. But and I was the one that suggested we put up this card. This card got revealed like maybe like 2 hours ago at the time of this recording. I really like this card because I think it's a really cool way to offer like kind of fix some of the slowness of those boost characters and make it like its own archetype, like its own deck, right? Where you have this Scrooge McDuck who is first of all inkable. Thank you that he's inkable. 4/7 that quests for 2, very decent stats on a shift 4. If we have a 1 to 3 drop Scrooge that we can shift onto this, it's a really great body to have on turn 4. That quests for 2. And he has the ability of whenever you play a character or location with boost, you can put the top card of your deck face down underneath them. So now you don't have to pay this tax anymore. You can just get the big effect immediately. You can play this 3-drop 4/5 that quests for 2 right away because you have this Scrooge McDuck on the field, right? It still might be like a little slow, but I'm hopeful that the shift is like relevant enough that you can get like some very serious mileage out of it. Because I almost think of it as like almost like an Amber Sapphire deck. To where like because a lot of of Amber has this like identity of making the boost cards better, and if we have like a 1-drop Scrooge and we can ramp to this guy on turn 3, that's gonna be really good for like the next 3 turns before like a character could probably realistically like efficiently deal with this. And now we have like 3 really powerful characters now that are overstated and over affected for their cost now because we had this guy. So as per the card effect, this is all speculation. If this is actually going to be good, or if we're even going to get a 1-drop shift, which I'm sure we won't because Lorcana hates those now after making Robin Hood and all that good jazz. But I think it's a really cool mechanic. I think it's great for Disney Lorcana. I can't believe, not to yap so long about this, I'm just excited about a new mechanic. We haven't had like a brand new mechanic like this since like locations were introduced in set 3. We're 7 sets later that we have like an actual gameplay keyword difference or mechanic added to the game. I can't believe that, seriously.
Yeah, no, the boost mechanic makes me think not even really backwards, but like just to like now, are that iconic Mickey Mouse, like the card that it has in itself has the potential to be an extremely insane card. It's just it's the shift 2 Mickey Mouse that says whenever he has a card underneath him or something like that, he becomes like a 5/5 quest for 5 or something like that. Just insane stats. And I'm thinking, we haven't been revealed with a lot of the cards now, but imagine a card like so Scrooge, he has a stipulation where it has to be a boost card, and unfortunately that iconic Mickey Mouse is not a boost card. But I imagine there's going to be other cards where it's just going to say play this, and then you can put the top card underneath a card, and that just activates that Mickey, and he's going to be just insane, honestly. Another thing about the boost mechanic that I like is I feel like there's going to be a lot of room to kind of, I don't know what the right word is to play around with the mechanic. So you can we already know like when Hades hits a target that is shifted, both of those cards go into your inkwell. We can probably get like some cool stuff now too, where you want to, boost your character, and then it could potentially like sing. I'm thinking about Blurple right now, where you play a boosted character, you boost something underneath it, and then you're gonna double ramp yourself because that card's gonna sing. What's that card? Into the Unknown on itself. Then you're just, you super ramp yourself. I don't know. There's going to be cards like that, or it could be. I'm thinking it could be like kind of pseudo draw too. Oh yeah, with Bleakly too. Yeah. And I'm also thinking about like some pseudo draw cards. Like you're going to pay potentially 1 or 2. The boost costs that I've seen are between 1 and 2. But imagine paying 1, and then you put a card underneath that card, and then you'll play something like just because it's off the top of my head. Something to bounce it back, so like the family fishing pole, you're gonna pull both those cards back in your head. That's kind of pseudo card draw. I mean, that's a lot of extra steps there, but like something like that.
It is though, right?
You know,
like Madam and Elephant's a good example too.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's another one.
You can just play against the boost cards, then you play blue green, and you mother knows best the boost cards back to their hand, and then you draw extra cards with your Clarabelle, and you go like nice boost cards.
That's just pretty stupid blue green.
Yeah, there's just so many things, and I'm really excited. There's just so many like weird interactions that I'm sure all the great deck builders out there is going to figure out, and it's going to be a lot of fun. That's how I feel about it.
So I'm in a weird spot on boost, because boost is like very much so like a make a random character on your board relevant later sort of mechanic. Like I think this card is interesting because it wants you to kind of build around boost. So I'm not certain of it. We'll have to see what we get, obviously. But the rest of boost is like, I think they just needed to be like decent statted dudes that have like good attrition cards, like good attrition abilities for you. But I think I'm not certain that that's immediately what we're going to want to do in Constructed, just because like I feel like so much of the early turns is like maximizing how you use your ink. So we will kind of see. We'll kind of see if this is like something we want to do, or if we have those kind of games where you're like, all right, I really want this. Like, I think just like it just needs to be a good static characters with like the boost ability, and then we'll probably be in. But we'll have to see. The big place that I think we will end up seeing this being more exciting, and I bet Christian's going to be excited about this, is limited. Really, I think that this is a very cool ability for limited, like a way to just like make sure that you have more stuff going on, and like with your late game. I think
you get to use your ink.
That's where you'll definitely see that.
And that's a big one.
So I'm not certain in Constructed. Obviously, they could just like reveal something tomorrow that makes everything I say irrelevant right now. They're like, oh my god, did you see the new I don't know, Mickey Mouse boost?
Like Darth Vader card.
Yeah, that gives you like 5,000 cards and like steals your opponent's credit card and all that. Like, anyways, that's, you could see that. Yeah. But like I'm very interested to see how this turns out.
I mean, I'm looking at this card, like, even without the ability of speculation, that's an insane amount of stats to have on turn 4. So like Christian was saying, what if there's like a good like 1-drop Scrooge, and then you go 1-drop Scrooge, ramp on 2, shift on 4, your turn 3 with a 4/7 body quest for 2, like
he's a chonker. He's a big guy.
That sounds kind of scary already.
Let's be real though. How many shifts have we seen in spoiler season? Like, God, imagine if they made a 1-cost shift target, and they never do. Like, we know it's not going to happen, but we could speculate.
You know what card we didn't put on here that does have a cool shift line? There is a new Horn King that has a goon. Yeah. That has a goons, the 1-cost 2/2, and then it shifts for 2 for a 3/4 that does some like shenanigans or something like that. Like, what does it do? I don't remember.
3/4
But
quest for
anyways,
2.
yeah, 3/4 quest for 2, and then it's got like a cool ability too. But I was like, that was the first time we've seen that type of shift line in a while, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But I forgot to mention that to be in here.
Tons and tons of new card reveals. Unfortunately, we don't have time to review all of them, but we're going to move on to our last kind of double feature in 2 legendaries in Steel and Sapphire.
I have a feeling we're going to be talking about one of these cards a little bit more than the other.
You think so?
I'm going to
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
So we got Prince Charming, Protector of the Realm. It's a Steel legendary, 3/10 body. It is a bodyguard, and its ability is Protective Presence. Each turn, only one character can challenge. Let's talk about this guy first.
Crawl space.
And that's enough about that card. No, I'm just
Listen. He goes in the category of, if you're a little kid and you're playing Lorcana, and you don't know how cards work yet, you're really excited because you opened a 3/10. And that's about it. You know, he's got a unique ability. That's cool. But as we all are very well aware, it turns out there's a lot of cool cards that get Hades'd and Into the Unknown and a various amount of other things, and he definitely hits that category.
Yeah. What's actually kind of neat about this card, I will say this. You are correct. Hades Into the Unknown does really just destroy this card, especially Into the Unknown, because he's a bodyguard.
He's like, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna block my guys.
Yeah, it's like Big Mickey, right? Like we talked about that. It was like Big Mickey. One person, it's gonna get hit by Into the Unknown once, and then like the collective like hive mind of people that want to try it have collapsed in one go. What's interesting about this card is that he does not have to be exerted for the Protective Presence ability, which I actually think like it gives it like a little bit more credence, right? To where like
we're trying.
He ends up being able to kind of bodyguard by not having to be exerted, right? Like in like a weird like blue steel matchup, right? Where like you're playing against purple and you can like quest with 3 things and keep this guy upright. You could effectively like still actually be like doing really good on the race because they could still only remove 1 thing, but it's still got its own fair share of problems.
But on the other side, you yourself can also only challenge 1 character, so it's kind of a double-edged sword, because especially in like the steel colors, if you're playing steel yourself, you want to be challenging. So I don't know, it's kind of a card that like it wants so badly to be protecting like an aggro field, but it's cost so much that an aggro deck would never play it. Like even Kiwi Birds would never play this card at a 7 cost. And
I'll tell you what, this card is really interesting in like multiplayer, you know? Because like you make everybody's challenging miserable. The other reason that this card exists is for you to open up a pack and then like slowly reveal that you're like a legendary symbol, and you're like, I don't remember what artist it is, and is it a Demona? No, it's Prince Charming. Dang. so we've beat this guy over the head, so we can probably go to the good card now if you want to introduce
and like honestly, like Prince Charming, like you also got to think about Infinity, and then when you think about Infinity, you're just like, it only has 3 strength. It's gonna get Medusa. It's gonna get get Sapphire Coiled Sea-Sued. Like
in the same core constructed format and color and cost, including ink ability, you could play Vincenzo Santorini, blow up a Dumbo in Quest for 3.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry if you're a Prince Charming fan, anybody out there, this card is here to sell packs, because he's, you know, sometimes you're gonna open this guy and you're gonna be sad when he's not the card next to him.
Watch us all just like get proven wrong.
Another bad steel legendary to add to the collective.
Christian, you playing this in Amethyst Steel or? Okay. All right. No.
But imagine. All right. One last thing. Imagine a world where you could give him Ward.
Okay.
Like Aurora into him.
You know that
Which
You know, you could just like.
which
I love bad cards. By the way, I'm sorry. I need to emphasize this. I spent $30 on a Mufasa Ruler of Pride Rock, the normal one, when he first came out, because I love bad cards, dude. That card is my favorite bad card. And if you can't play that,
He's
you
the
can't
best
play
bad
this.
card.
All right, like
I don't know if there's ever a day where you can like very easily just give Ward out there. I feel like this card could be kind of
He's
a
a chonker.
banger.
he's a
Yeah.
chonker.
All right, let's
All right, can we talk
let's
about the good one?
The good one, yeah.
The good-
All right, we got Cinderella, Dream Come True. It is a 2/3 quest for 1, 4 cost, uninkable. So if with it being uninkable, it better be good. So its ability is whatever you wish for. At the end of your turn, if you played a princess character this turn, you may put a card from your hand into your inkwell, face down, then you draw a card. Craziness.
All right, so okay. So imagine the world we're playing blue deck, right? Like, and we look at our hand, we have a Tipo, and we have a Sail in our hand, and we're like, God, I wish I could play another card that's both of them put together, and that's this card. It's actually just the 2 best rev cards put together into one card is what this is. It's actually unbelievable that they made this card, in my opinion.
I don't understand it. Like, so at first read, if you don't read carefully, you're like, okay, it's uninkable, the stats are bad, and you're like, all right, you got to play princesses, and then you're like, oh wait, she's a princess. She just does it for herself. That's pretty cool. Like all of a sudden, and then you're like, we were playing How Far I Go a little while ago. This is kind of just that. Like, this card is wild, dude.
But she leaves a body on the board, and Ursula can't rip her out of your hand. It's just, I don't know. It's all just insane stuff for me, I think.
Dude, like, what is going
And it
on
has,
here?
and if I'm correct, it has the Tipo Fishbone Quill text. You can put an uninkable into the inkwell with this too.
Wait, I don't think you look at. Oh wait, I misread this card. You may put a card from your hand in your inkwell face down to draw a card. Okay, so I misunderstood this card. I thought you inked the top card of your deck and then draw a card. I don't know how to read. I'm a card game player. We don't do that.
We don't do that.
But,
we don't do
but
that.
no,
Okay.
this card is sick.
It's still
This card is very sick. This card is very, very sick. This card is
I think this card has the capacity, I think, to make like a DKP style red blue shark deck like completely viable again. Because like some of the problems that we had with like Maui Shark before, right, is like it kind of just didn't do a whole lot. We couldn't consistently get it on turn 4, but like a turn 5, turn 6, turn 7 Maui Shark, it was pretty easy to remove, in a format filled with Hades and Strength Raging Fire and like Elsa plus, anything to remove it, right? Like that was like a huge, kind of dead card in that scenario. But like turn 4 Maui Shark still is like impossible to get rid of. It completely freezes the board. And you just have like all this room to now just like play other top end, or like if we get more like decent draw cards in blue or red, now we have like some insane stuff that we could potentially do there. Obviously we don't have Be Prepared or like Location or Make Deck Manager to like kind of close out the game really quickly like we did before, but I think the concept of being able to like slam 6 and 7 drops super early and have a body on the field is so good. It's a good time to be a blue player, in my opinion. And this is good for every blue deck, right? Like, that's I actually think it's not great for Blurple. That's like the one blue deck I actually don't think wants to play this, because they don't have like Blurple's top end is like Hades and like Big Elsa, but Big Elsa you can shift already. And you already have Genie. Genie's just better for the Blurple deck that wants to like kind of play this mid game more anyway, right? Yeah. So this is a great blue card that's not enabling the current best blue deck, in my opinion, which I think is great, is what we want, right?
Yeah. Also, if you're like me and you're not a true Disney nerd, because I got into this game, and then like Disney, it turns out Elsa, not a princess. Elsa,
no, she's a queen.
She's a queen, yeah. And fun fact,
queen, my guy.
Because like my initial thought was like, oh man, you play your Cinderella, and then the next turn you play your Elsa, and you get all this value, and I'm like, oh wait, that doesn't happen. But you can do a Belle. But yeah, for all my fellow not so Disney nerds out there who don't always know how to read, because I just inherently thought Elsa was a princess. That's like my big fun fact about it.
I mean, I guess she no, she like at the start of the movie she is a princess, but very very quickly through some unfortunate circumstances she has to become the queen very quickly.
Yep.
It's unfortunate, but yeah,
it's true.
This card is
It's
great.
very very true.
Red, on the other hand, has plenty of princesses. They got Mulans, they got Moanas, they got Auroras. If you want to play that, you got all kinds of stuff. Also, you can just play 2 of these and like have a great time too. By the way, you know, just play like one after another, and you're probably doing good stuff.
That's kind of good.
Amber, Sapphire, Princess synergy. That could be a thing now.
I mean, they're trying. They gave you the 5-cost Mulan. That's kind of sick.
Yeah, they've been pushing it. I think it's like, I think there might be some with like some weird yellow blue deck, depending on like what cards they print out for it. You know, because you also have
90% agree with you that it's like not a blurple card. I think greedy blurple players will still try to fit it in, by the way. Like,
yeah, but greedy blurple players always try to fit everything in their deck.
They really do.
That's like saying it's gonna be cold in December. You know what I mean?
Just like I'm like looking at it and I'm like, I kind of get where you're coming from, but I also can't see myself not like being like, well, like 1 or 2 of Cinderella's, you know, really
1 or 2. You're gonna draw it like late game, and you're gonna be so cranky when you
this
need
card
like
this
a
card
genie.
is not genie in late game. This card is not genie in late game at all. This card is.
I just don't see a world where you play it over genie because
no, you play it with.
So you're pairing Sapphire with Amethyst. And Amethyst has
that's right.
some of the best 5-drops out there. So there's not really like a 6-drop Amethyst that you like need to ramp to immediately, like there is in like Steel, where you could go right into a big tank, or Ruby, where you can go right into a Maui Shark. I don't know. There's just
Do you play Iago over this? Because you're okay. So you're obviously playing Genie, and you're obviously playing Dumbo.
Mm-hmm.
What if you play like 2 of these and 2 Iago?
I think you have too many 4-drops in your deck.
I play all 12.
Yeah, well, that's not. I don't know. You can play like 16 4-drops in Blurple and probably be like pretty okay for what it's worth. Here's like a cool play I think you could do with the Cinderella if you play Blurple is you go like Tipo on 2, Cinderella on 3, Demona on 4.
Yeah. So you got to
you're gonna exert the whole board, and then your Tipo and Cinderella are gonna go and fight one guy.
yeah, they're gonna do
White Rose. We have to remove it.
They're gonna deal 3 damage to a 1-drop Nala that your dog's opponent played, and you're like, oh no.
Legit though, like that actually could be a winning line against dogs, because realistically, like a couple of cards, like if you go 1-drop, 2-drop. 1-drop Tipo, Cinderella, Demona, you probably could slow the dogs.
I promise
enough,
you, like, unfortunately, we will find a way to fit at least some amount of this card in Blurple. Like I know that we're like saying we're not going to do it, and it's helping all the other ones. Like Blurple players can't help ourselves, and we're still gonna like be like, you know what, like, 1 or 2. You know, like.
Yeah. I play the heck out of this in blue green. This card seems way better than Donald Duck. You know what I mean?
Blue green, this is dope. Blue green, this is dope.
Mm-hmm.
But that is all the card reveals that we have. There's, if you guys are looking for it, it's all over. Do we?
Yeah, we got the set champs promo.
Oh my gosh, you are right.
Spotlight.
All right.
Quick spotlight.
All right. Quick. We
Quick
cannot
spotlight.
forget about this card. Speaking of blue green, here's a card after my own heart.
Blue yellow.
Daisy Duck.
Blue. Daisy Duck. Look at this Ghost Files Daisy Duck. Paranormal Investigator.
Ghost Files No, this card is dope. The dream is you play 1-cost Daisy, you ramp on 2, and you play it on 3, and then your opponent's curve is completely ruined, and they're cursing, but like you're having a fun time because you have like characters and stuff, and they don't. So much stats.
Being able to like stop them from like making their stuff like their income exerted is like something that we've never really seen in the game before. It is like super unique, and more importantly, as with all the cards that we talked about today, except for Cinderella, it's inkable. So like again, it's another like shift 4. which seems to be like it's a common theme with a lot of these like Floodborne characters, is like kind of like earlier shift targets with like good stats. This card I'm like a little bit more like not sure if it's going to be like super meta relevant, but the effect is really interesting. It being like a shift cost is like definitely probably reasonable, and the effect is pretty powerful if it goes off, right? And it has to be exerted, which is nice. So like there is like some like play patterns that your opponent can do to like remove it, but it's 4/6, so they're probably like losing like 2 guys potentially just to do it. So I'm a big fan. I think it looks great. I can't wait to see the playmat for this card for the set champs, and I'm a big fan of it.
I love that we have to ramp into our tools to fight ramp, but that's okay too. like
Welcome to a blue world, my guy. It's what we do.
But I'm also excited for somebody to go like, oh wait. I'm sorry. Did you want to play that card, ink that card? You gotta go like
It's a sapphire world, and we're all just living in it now.
the playmat's gonna look insane.
Yeah.
So, excited for no runner-up.
Yeah.
As always.
But like
we'll be
you guys,
fighting it up.
you guys forget the saddest part about the next set champs. It's gonna happen probably in January, and then January has like we have the second North American DLC happening in January. So me and Christian and maybe Nate's gonna be, or a lot of us are gonna be missing.
I'm gonna try to. So.
Yeah.
Well, unless I get this golden Mickey.
But just in one weekend's okay.
No, but there's so much other stuff going on. Like I think a Japanese Grand Prix is happening. So many things.
So, exciting one to have. Again, as we talked about with Maleficent Dragon before, I like that they're doing they've always done really good art. All the set chance promos have really good art. We can all agree with that, I think. At least they're trying to make it at least more interesting or maybe possibly playable. That's like all we can ask.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this card, there's a real possibility that somebody out there goes like, Daisy is the sauce, and you got to play
That's
this
me.
card. And so,
You're looking at him right here. I'm gonna play Daisy with Ink Geyser, and
number one Daisy enjoyer.
Number one Daisy enjoyer. That's our
man. All right, so that was our last card. So we're looking forward to Milwaukee happening next in less than 2 weeks, a week and a half.
Yep.
So
not this upcoming weekend, the weekend.
So we might have a podcast coming up before then, but other than that, but if not, wish us luck. Hopefully the next time we come in here, we'll be like, all right, so me, Christian, and Nate took first, second, and third, and we're just living life right now.
We split.
Also, right.
Last podcast, we are now on WCC or something. All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching or listening wherever you are at, and we are gonna head out. See you guys next time.
See ya.
Peace.